Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Union Town Hall. My name is Maya May. I am your host, moderator. I'm here with Joe Trippi, who is a senior Lincoln Project advisor, Democratic strategist. First of all, before we get started, I just want to say thank you. Please give yourselves a pat on the back for coming off the sidelines and being here to engage with democracy. I don't know about you, but for me, when I am being active and I am getting things done, that is when I feel my best. And so right now, things are crazy. They're constantly changing, and we're having to struggle to adapt, to pay attention. It can be exhausting, but nothing is more exhausting than finding out that at the end of the day, we waited too long and it's too late. So now is the time to get involved, and you're here. So we know that's what you are planning to do. We have incredible organizations that are here to share about the work that they're doing and all of the volunteer work that y'all will be able to do when you come on board with the union. So the union, we keep hearing this thing, the union. Joe, tell us what it is. What's the union?
Well, it's in the spirit of building a more perfect union, of preserving and protecting the union that Lincoln and through generations we've been able to do. Mm-hmm. And so, look, democracy is at stake right now. The authoritarians are moving not just here but around the world now, as we can see. Mm-hmm. I want to explain what the union is, but first of all, I want to tell you of all the things I've done in my life, starting back presidential campaigns, including running Howard Dean's campaign for president, helping elect Doug Jones in Alabama, huge upset, their first Democrat to win that state in 25 years. There have been some things I'm really proud of, but the most important thing I think I've ever done is helping to build the union and get it going tonight. And I really believe that all of you, when we look back and preserve and protect our democracy in 2022 and 2024, we'll look back on tonight with great pride that this was where we started to build from the ground up a broad-based pro-democracy coalition of millions of American citizens and lots of groups, organizations dedicated to protecting our democracy and fighting back against the authoritarian push that's going on right now. And so that's what the union is. So many people, as we've moved around the country, have people reacted to content that the Lincoln Project has put out, or in comments on Twitter, have said repeatedly, "Hey, what can I do? There's got to be something I can do. I can't be all alone. Right? There must be something I can do." And not just contribute money or retweet a great video and spread the word, which is really important too. But in my community, what can I do? And so what I started to talk to everybody about with Reed and Rick and others at the Lincoln Project was, could we, like the Dean campaign, build a decentralized web structure where everybody who cares and wants to defend and protect the democracy can join, can tell us what they're interested in doing, what they're willing to take on, how many hours they can participate, or if they can't give hours, what can they do? And at the same time, have organizations across the country put their hands up, join the union, and say, we need volunteers in this county, or we need a lawyer to help us get a court injunction to keep polls open, or we need a tech tool to help us organize. So what the union is it's just that. It's if we empower people across this country who want to fight, to come there, join together, put our talents and energy to work, and then the union helps place you where you can do the most good, where your talent, where your involvement can do the most good. So in Georgia, that may be there may be legal fights. There will definitely be organizing battles. There will be, we're building a tech core to help build tools. We're building a comms core of people, former reporters are signing up to help fight the disinformation that's out there, and with things like that. And obviously, like I said, the activist core that'll be essential in state after state, county after county, town after town, precinct after precinct. And already, Maya, we have upwards nearly 50,000 people.
50,000? That is
joined.
Fantastic. And it's 50,000 people with just a wide array of skill sets. And so a lot of times we think that, oh, the thing that I can do, the thing that I'm good at isn't useful. Trust me, it is useful. We have needs for so many different types of talents. And sometimes what comes easy to you is difficult for other people. And so when you sit here and you hear about these people volunteering, know that you can also volunteer. You can think about the things that you are capable of doing and bring that to the table, because that is how we stay engaged and excited about what we are doing. So 50,000 volunteers already.
Yeah. And the whole thing here is, look, to fight back the billions of dollars that have been spent on building an outrage machine, building that force that just keeps pushing out that message, the disinformation, the outrage.
Well, they're incredibly organized and well-funded, and they're trying to take us backwards.
Right.
And
so they've been doing this for decades, and they've perfected the ability with social media, with technology. They have the ability to just repeat. And so, no one's built that on, there's no pro-democracy movement to fight back against that. And so, yes, it will take a comms core. It will take a tech core. It will take a legal core. Already 500 attorneys have joined the union to fight, to get court injunctions to keep polls open, to fight legal battles in states where there's a new legislative right-wing agenda to slow and throw hurdles to people's ability to vote and voting rights. So thousands of people have joined as activists. A lot of people have signed up because you can go to the site. If you go to jointheunion.us, there's no like, hey, great, give us your email and donate. Now, there's other places that you can do that. This is not that place. This is, we can all join together, and it will take all of us to accomplish what we need to accomplish, and all our talents, all our skills. And there's somewhere you fit in, and what you can do with whatever the limited time, there's a way to fit you in and make sure that your views, your ideas, your spirit and your energy is being used productively to fight for democracy.
Yes, 100%. And we're going to talk about more about how you can do that. With that, I want to bring in our one of the first organizations that is really just on the ground in a place where we've all been paying attention to. It's one of the laboratories of autocracy, Florida. So I'm really excited to have Alex Barrios and Devin Murphy Anderson from Mi Vecino, Florida, here to talk about what you are seeing in Florida and how your organization is getting involved, why you joined the union. So Alex, I'm going to ask you first if you could just give us an overview.
Yeah, thank you so much, Maya. Thank you, Joe. Thank you for having us. Thank you, America, for being here and for being part of this. So my name is Alex Barrios. I'm one of the co-founders of Mi Vecino. Just a little bit about me very briefly. I'm a Puerto Rican and Cuban Florida native, definitely not Florida man. I have got my stuff together. I'm a former boxer turned political operative, volunteer. I've worked at just about every level of our politics in Florida, all the way up to senior advisor, campaign director at the state party. And co-founded Mi Vecino because, people like me in my community, my friends, my family, my neighbors were tired of disconnected folks in Washington, out of touch politicians and consultants and campaigns telling us what's best for us, what we should think, and what our values should be. So, we're leading the charge, not looking left, not looking right, definitely not looking back. And, we're going full speed ahead and very, very happy to be part of this movement.
It's absolutely fantastic that you are, because a lot of people are watching what's happening in Florida. And it's like, when you say that you're a fighter or that you were a boxer, I'm like, yes, that is exactly what we need, is people who can bring that same level of energy, that same fight. And Devin, how are you involved with Mi Vecino? And tell us about everything that you're doing there.
Thanks, Maya, and thanks to everybody who's tuned in right now for taking time out of your evening to help learn how you can help defend and protect democracy, which is why we're all here. My name is Devin. I'm the other co-founder of Mi Vecino, have also worked in politics in Florida for a while. And I think just a little bit about Mi Vecino, we're a voter registration organization based in Hispanic and multicultural communities in Florida. And a lot of the rhetoric that we hear is that our voices and our votes don't matter. And what's really important to understand is that is a narrative that is being pushed by anti-democracy actors who, and that's what they want us to believe. And so I want everybody who's watching right now to understand that your voice matters, your time matters, your vote matters, and that this is our country. And everyone who you're going to hear about from on this call tonight, all of our organizations, we know our communities best, right? And the political parties, and both of them, have made assumptions about our communities, about how they vote, based on economic status, based on race, based on geographical location. And we saw this play out in the 2020 elections with our communities not voting the way that we were supposed to. At Mi Vecino, we don't take any vote for granted. We don't take any voter for granted, and we talk to people. And that's the piece of our democracy that we are playing out on the ground. And so your voice matters. Thank you for being here. I hope that you get involved. And with that, I will turn it back to you, Maya.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I love the energy coming from the both of you. This is much better than some of the energy that I see coming out of Florida. So it makes me incredibly happy to know that the two of you are on the ground. Joe, you wanted to jump in?
No, again, this is part of what we're talking about, matching people, activists in Florida with organizations like Mi Vecino, if they're the right fit for what is needed, right? And there may be other areas in Florida and other groups, but that's what we're doing, getting groups involved that are actually doing the work on the ground, or to fight disinformation, or to fight the legal battles. Those groups need people. They need time. They need energy. And then we have all these people out there saying, what can I do? I want to do something to win this fight. It's join. And right now, by the way, when I keep saying, join the union.us, but there is something everybody on this that's watching can do right now. It's get one more family member, one more neighbor, one more coworker, one more friend to join the union, to tell us what their talent, what their interest is, what their skill is, and join the fight, because we will win when there are millions of Americans who are part of this pro-democracy movement.
Yes, and excited about being a part of this pro-democracy movement. So we are going to have a Q&A later, so stick around, Devin, Alex. We're going to come back and we're going to answer audience questions, things like that. So we will see you shortly. And we're going to bring in a guest that we had on. We were speaking at one point. Love chatting with her. She's also been on the podcast. Tedra Cobb. She's a former Democratic County legislator. Hi, Tedra, and the founder of Backroads Pack. I love the name, Backroads Pack.
I walk on a back road every single day, so it's part of my life. Rural America is my life. Joe, you started this whole thing by saying, people ask, what can I do? What I could do was to run against Elise Stefanik, and we didn't prevail. But, in rural America, we are fighting for scraps. We are fighting to have a voice. And so I started Backroads Pack to make sure that every rural Democrat running for Congress has the support, the mentoring, the coaching, what they need so that they never have to travel that path to victory alone. That's what Backroads is doing. And I'm so honored to be part of the union, because these candidates need volunteers. A lot of these rural candidates are going to run scrappy, grassroots. They're going to knock on doors. And all of that work that we do in rural America to get Democrats on the ballot and to win and to move those margins helps us to win up ballot. So every vote counts, every candidate counts, and Backroads is going to be there to support them.
Absolutely fantastic. I love that you saw a problem and you were like, how can I create a solution? It's like the perfect metaphor really for what we are really trying to do as we move forward. It's like, as America is changing, we're constantly going, how do we solve this problem? And so you got incredibly active, and I absolutely love to see it, because I went to school in Iowa, and when I think about rural America, the idea of being able to connect and engage easily is, before the internet, difficult. Now we have the internet, we can do it. So what?
But we still got to knock on those doors, right? Yeah. I mean, I think that's the thing. Mi Vecino is about our neighbors in rural America. We have to reach out to our neighbors, and we have to find common ground. And that's, I think, the beauty of the union. I'm really proud to be part of it, because I'll tell you a story. When I was a county legislator, one of the things I wanted to pass was a new ethics law. And I'm going to be honest, the Democrats weren't totally for it. The Republicans weren't totally for it, but we passed it, and we worked together to pass meaningful legislation. And it matters at the local level. It matters at the state level. And clearly with the union, it matters nationally. We've got to protect our democracy, and we've got to protect, support candidates up and down the ballot.
And that's one of the things, though, that it's true, is that democracy is something that can, and fighting for it is something that can be a bridge that does bring people together. Yeah. Not the issues that are polarizing everybody, but that's what the whole thing about the union. Keep those, leave the past divides and angry fights behind us, because there's one thing that we can all agree on, hopefully, or enough of us can agree on. I believe they are. That democracy is what we need to fight for in 2022 and 2024. And, Backroads Pack is exactly what we're talking about. There's over 30 groups that have already joined, like Backroads Pack. And they're going to be in different places and nationally. But it's every one of those, like if it's 5 votes in this rural town, 10 votes in that rural town, it adds up in places like Georgia or, or Pennsylvania. Yeah. And we know what the margins are, and that's why if all of us come together, if we get more than the 30, it's 30 groups and growing, 50,000 people and growing. Let's get as many groups. If you know a group out there that you think is doing great work in your community, tell them about the union. Get them to join, so we know what they need, and we can send more people like you to them.
Yeah, Joe, I was a firefighter, and when the alarm went off, we didn't ask if someone in the house was a Democrat or Republican. Yeah. We just fought the fire. And I think that's what we have to do. We have to put aside all of that kind of fighting and say, wait a minute, what is the most important thing to us? And that is the Constitution and our country and our democracy. And that's why we're here. And I'm so proud to be part of the union. And I really want to say thank you.
Well, thank you, Tedder.
Yeah, so seriously, thank you. And please stick around for the Q&A. Can't wait to ask you. I want to know about this firefighting thing, so might have to ask you about that. We will, thanks, I absolutely love it. Next up, we have Annette Mangus from Battleborn Progress, the executive director of Battleborn Progress. Please tell us what you're doing, because you're in Nevada, which is blue, red, purple. It's like it's this thing. So Field Battleborn, tell us about your organization.
Yeah, so my name is Annette Magnus. I'm the executive director of Battleborn Progress. I've been here for 8 years, and I was born and raised in Nevada. Las Vegas is my home, and I love the work that I have the privilege to do every single day. And Battleborn Progress is a community organization that works statewide around strategic communications. So we're those communicators who are out there pushing back in several languages against disinformation, making sure that our reporters are educated, making sure that we're finding storytellers in the community to tell their real stories. We just had a few of our storytellers on this morning with one of our congresswomen from Nevada. So we're in the community every single day, trying to make sure that real information, good information is getting out to our communities and that we're making our voices heard on the issues that matter most. And, here in Nevada, we are a purple state. We are not a blue state. We are not a red state. We are a purple state, and it could go either way. And this information that you're talking about around democracy is so critical in a state like Nevada. We've seen such tremendous gains when it comes to voting rights, thanks to our champions like Speaker Jason Frierson and our Governor Steve Sisolak. We have seen tremendous gains over the past two legislative sessions. But now what we're seeing is counties starting to go after and want to hand count ballots and do all this ridiculous stuff. That is going to totally throw a wrench in our pro-democracy work. So that's why we need people like you watching at home tonight. We need people in states doing the hard work, making sure that we're protecting our democracy, making sure that we're getting real information out to voters, real information out to people who can make their voices heard, because the misinformation, the disinformation is so incredibly dangerous. And, the right has an agenda where they're trying to disintegrate our democracy and the integrity of our elections. And we have a responsibility, all of us, regardless of our party, to make sure that our democracy is strong going forward. So that's why we're here, and that's why we joined the union, and we couldn't be more excited.
And we got to get more groups like yours signed up in state after state to fight the disinformation and make sure good quality information is getting out there. There are others doing like your group joining, and then we need the people out there to spread that information, to plug into a comms core that keeps moving aggressively against the disinfo, but also to push the positive messages that will bring people together.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more.
Yes. And, as a creative writer, that is my background. I have a degree in creative writing. I want to shout out to all the writers out there. We need you, all of those creative minds, because it's not just about getting the right information. It's about shaping it. Annette, I love that you point out the storytelling piece of it, because we have to tell the better story. It's not just giving the facts and giving the truth. It's being able to show people what it looks like when people come together for a more perfect union. So
absolutely. And hearing those stories, hearing what's really happening to Nevadans, to Americans every single day, because, these stories are real. These things are happening to people every single day. They can't afford to pay their bills. They can't afford to, pay their prescription drug costs. Like, so many of the issues that we work on are all tied back to our democracy and having a healthy, strong democracy. And that's why we need you all out there, because literally it's going to take every single one of us this cycle to get the job done, because people are tired. People have lived through a pandemic. They've lived through hell, especially in places like Nevada, where we still have, so many people unemployed and the housing market is through the roof. We have people who are struggling, but we have leaders like Governor Sisolak who are doing a great job and leading us out of this pandemic that we have to get the message out about.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, so fantastic. Annette, please stick around for the Q&A. I know we're going to have some great conversations about messaging and storytelling, so can't wait for that. This is fantastic. I'm feeling so energized already just with these brief introductions. So I'm really excited for the Q&A. Before that, we're going to bring in Chris Gibbs, who is the president of Rural Voices USA. I love saying rural. It always makes me think of Rural Juror from 30 Rock.
There you go. Well, thanks for having me. Thanks for having Rural Voices USA. Joe, great to see you. Maya, great to meet you. I'll tell you what, we're here, and hopefully that everybody, Joe, your 50,000 folks that you talked about, can help us with our mission as we help you with your mission. In the United States, I think we know instinctively that there's more out there that unites us than divides us. Mm-hmm. But there are far too many folks out there that their sole mission, particularly in our ruby red rural areas, let's just call it like it is, that their sole mission is to divide us, to divide our communities, divide families, to divide our people. And Rural America USA will not tolerate that. I won't tolerate that. What we need is balance. Democrats aren't always right. Republicans aren't always right. But if you're only hearing one side of the story, if the only cable channel you get is one cable network, then you aren't getting the whole story. And all you're getting is your confirmation biased stroked. So I want to tell you what Rural Voices USA is doing. We're a 501c4. We have a 3-person board. Patty Judge, former lieutenant governor out of Iowa. Tim Wolf out of Pennsylvania, comes from an agricultural family in the great state of Pennsylvania. The 3 of us are managing this organization. We're looking to organize rural people, to advocate, to communicate, and more specifically, to hold policymakers accountable for the rural issues that are important to rural Americans, that aren't always told when they hear it from their, very frankly, from their ruby red constituency there in their counties and their states. What are those issues? They're climate change, something that's very important to me, voting rights. I spent 12 years on my county board of elections. Most of that as chairperson, so I have an intimate knowledge of how voting works. Agricultural policy, renewable energy, education, broadband, healthcare. All of those things are important to Rural Voices USA. And how are we doing that? Well, we've set up steering committees. Wisconsin, before the 2020 election, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio. We've expanded now into Georgia, North Carolina. What we do is put local members, known individuals, educators, farmers, prior legislators, professional career individuals together to give us their most, short of family, their most important possession. Their most important possession. What is that? To give us their name, to put their name on a cause. They help us write letters to the editor, online news conferences, radio interviews, being the face of Rural Voices USA in those states and those communities. They're what I would call the Minutemen and women. We're ready to go at a moment's notice if we want to hit an issue and make sure that rural America hears another side of the issue, hears the good part about it, rather than just one side from their legislator or their cable news network. So that's what we're doing. Final reason that I'm here tonight, and I don't want to sound corny and I don't want to embarrass anybody, but I'm going to tell you something. Joe and I've got a short history, not a long history, but a short history. And if Joe said this is the thing to do, I'm in 100%.
Thanks, Chris. Well, I feel the same way, brother. So, and if there's anybody out there I know communicate, it's Chris Gibbs and Rural Voices USA. So welcome to the cause. Not welcome, you've been in this cause, but
we're in, man.
Again, get everybody out there. There's reasons to join. There's groups like this out there that you can help, and others, whether it's the organizing or communications or tech or helping us with the law. People like Mark Elias and others that have been fighting those battles. There are good people out there that need your help. And like I said, right now, the most important thing, get one more person to join the union. Let's build this thing. Let's get to the millions of Americans out there from the 50,000 we already have, and get a lot more groups like Chris is involved and signed up to spread the good word, urban and rural, and across the spectrum, everywhere, all 50 states, every precinct.
Yes.
And we know that Ohio is on the map this year.
It is
for the Senate race. My goodness sakes, what a spectacle! We've got at least all but one of the GOP candidates humping the leg of the former president, and it is a travesty. I never seen anything like it. It's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing, and the way to respond to it is with direct action. And I love that that's what Rural Voices is doing, and the fact that people are giving you their names and their time, those precious commodities.
Most important possession.
Yes,
credibility too. That credibility and trust. That's what those folks have. And
truly,
and that's what it takes. That's what it takes in rural America, because you can't blame the voter. You're always in a bad position if you blame the voter, if you blame the individual that's supporting maybe one side. But if you can just talk to them, if you can say, hey, I understand how you got here. I understand why you're mad. I get it. However, there's a choice. Don't let somebody massage your confirmation bias and only tell you what they believe that you want to hear and use that against you and then divide you. Always go back. If somebody's trying to divide you, remember this. The first thing you need to do is to decide what's in it for them. Why are they doing that? And once you find out what's in it for them, because I guarantee there's nothing in it for you, it's what's in it for them. You go about that and attack it and beat it and vaporize it. And then you've won.
I like this strategy. I hope y'all are all taking notes at home, because that is good. And to go along with the Chris, you're a farmer, right? Like I read that, and I don't know if you said that to everybody. And I'm like, I feel like with the credibility piece, that's important. You're
I'm a lifelong farmer. Lifelong farmer. I spent 20 years within the GOP. Most of that as chair of the party. Gave again my most important possession, my name, to the party. And I left the Republican Party in 1819 because it no longer represented what I gave to the party. Wasn't the party of personal responsibility, certainly not the party of diplomacy, certainly not the party of statesmanship, certainly not the party of free trade. All of those things were jettisoned between 16 and 20, and I wasn't going to be a part of it. So I consider myself an independent. The last primary came up. The first primary I never voted in. I voted an independent ticket. Didn't get to vote for anybody, just a school levy. But you know what? As an independent, it was liberating because I did not realize how I used that party label as a shield. I didn't have to explain my position on abortion, on healthcare, on you name it, on civil rights. I didn't have to explain my position because I was hiding behind that party label. And now I can think for myself. And it's liberating because now I've got an opinion and I can express it, and I don't owe it to anybody except myself and my soul.
And that's the critical thing that you bring up, Chris, is that the union it's about Republicans, former Republicans, independents, Democrats, anybody who gets that it's democracy on the ballot in 2022 and 2024, and that's what we have to fight for. And if that's what they're willing to join up to do, it doesn't matter what party they're in,
It does not matter. Remember, we are all Americans first.
2018, that doesn't matter either. No. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, like Stuart Stevens and I did battle for decades in Senate races and other races across the country. He's former Republican senior advisor to the Lincoln Project. We had knockdown dragouts where I thought, I just was like, just never wanted to have another bare knuckle fight with that guy again. But never did I think I'd be on the same team with him. And the reason is none of that stuff matters right now. None of it. We can argue about marginal tax rates some other day. Right now, this is about if we don't have a democracy, there's no reason we won't be arguing about any of that stuff.
We're on the American team. We're on the American team.
One team, yes.
More that unites us than divides us.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
You're right.
Thank you so much, Chris. This is so energizing. We're doing a Q&A shortly, so please stick around because I know people want to hear more. Wow, it's seeing it. Truly, hearing everybody speak so emphatically about the work that they're doing is giving me that renewed hope that I need every single day. It's like another dose of hope, and it keeps us moving forward. Coming in next, Melissa Bernardi. She's our super volunteer. This is it's our union volunteer, our super volunteer.
I'm a super volunteer. Yes, I am the volunteer coordinator for the union. And you guys, you are now looking and talking to pretty much the luckiest person around. It is incredibly inspiring. Every day, what I do is I go through the list of signups and I determine, where they may fit in the organization. I have started a team. Hello, team. That is incredible. They're just every day. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? They are, ready for the gates to open. And the overarching theme of all of the signups, why did you sign up? Everybody needed a place to go, and the union. Thank you, Joe. Nice to meet you, by the way. Everyone, you provided a place for them to land. And so my fabulous role is to call them and to find out their story and to find out what they can do for us. And like you said, Maya, earlier, a lot of people say, oh, I don't think I can do anything. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. There are so many different things. Everybody who's spoken before me has talked about the needs, and they're different. They're the same. They need people on the ground. They need volunteers who are going to be that sincere voice for their organization or their candidate. So that's what I do.
And what got you interested in doing this? Because you have a background that is.
I lived in Michigan for 15 years, and I was a field director for several campaigns. And then my husband and I moved down here to the beautiful Beaufort, South Carolina, and to retire. And actually 2016 took a lot out of everybody, took a lot out of me. And I was like, I'm done. I don't need to do anything. I'm just going to let the world go by. And then this thing popped up on my social media, the union. And of course, I innocently, as everybody else did, filled out the form. And I got an email probably the next day saying, hey, would you like to do this? And I was like, oh, I don't know, And then, yeah, and that's all she wrote. I mean, I think I said I would do 5 to 10 hours. Yeah, a week, it's probably 5 to 10 hours a day. And it's the best job I've ever had. The best fake job, I guess, right? It's wonderful.
And the most necessary one. And just hearing
your story. You're all talking about, we need the volunteers, we need this team. And I'm going, wow, I have a little power here. So, no, it's great. I love what you've done, Joe. Everybody is just so happy to have a place to land. And everyone comes from, I have conservatives, I have progressives, I have people who say I'm an independent. I just vote, the way I feel. I don't stick to one party. And yet everyone is on the same page. And that is a really, really nice thing to see. It gives me hope.
The cool thing too, though, Melissa, is that it's all volunteers. The whole.
I am not technologically astute, and I can't turn my volume up. Can you repeat yourself? I'm so sorry.
I was talking about the one thing we haven't explained is that the union, everybody who's working in the union is a volunteer. There are no, the people who are building the tools, the website, pulling people together, connecting people to groups it's an all volunteer thing. It's not. It is, like I said, from the bottom up, people that didn't know 3 weeks ago they'd be doing what you're doing. That's one of the things that's cool about this, because our politics today is so transactional. I'll do this for your vote. I'll do that for your vote. Transformation happens when citizens join something and start a movement, and within that movement, new leaders are born. People step up and take the leadership positions like you have to help make it happen. And if we can do that, of the 50,000, of the million that we build to, millions that we build to people across this country in those rural communities and urban communities, that's what transformational leadership is. It develops itself as we're building the movement. That's something I learned in the Dean campaign. It's something I'm really looking forward to seeing, and you're a great example of it. Thank you.
There are a couple of more than a handful of people who worked on the Dean campaign, volunteered for the Dean campaign. So, so I wanted to pass that on to you because I don't know if you have access to the list. So
I love this, that it's transformational leadership, but what I'm also hearing is it's transformational participation.
Yes.
Because it goes from being, separate volunteers to being a community. Even as we're hearing each other's stories, it's community building,
Yes.
and that's what's transformational. That transforms you because you realize, oh yes, I too can be a part of bringing this whole American democracy experiment to fruition, that it can continue. And so I love to hear it. I'd love to bring everybody back in so that we can kind of have a chat, talk with everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm sure you've all been listening. I hope you're as energized and excited about this as I am. One of the first questions that came through is for people is being able to participate. How can they get involved when they actually sign up? And I'll give that question to you, Melissa. What's the process?
Okay, so they sign up, and myself or one of my incredible volunteer leaders, we go through that list and determine what are their abilities, right? What do they think that they want to get involved in? And actually, to me, there are names that I've seen, and it's just like they spark. There's just something about them. I have to talk to this person and find out why they signed up. And that's the first connection. And from there, as projects come down the pike, we will have all of these volunteers primed and ready to go when someone says we need a postcard blitz, we need people canvassing, we need letters to the editor, we need a Twitter thing, whatever the Twitter things are. So right now we're calling everybody and we're just figuring out what we need and what everybody needs, I guess. Does that sound right?
Yes, that does sound right.
But the one thing, the way this is going to work is it's being built. We're all building it together as we build it bigger, right? So there'll be many more groups that need different things, and there'll be many more people who will be who'll be joining. And as that happens, again, there are people that are joining right now where the right group may not come on for 3 weeks, but it will,
right.
And we'll plug them into it. And so I think that's like the key thing is to give people that place where they can come and know that that it's going to be worthwhile.
Right.
That they do have a talent, a skill, or even if it's an hour to do something, that hour is going to be, when it's called for, is going to be useful. One of the things we did was we're going to have union alerts where everybody on the list will get an alert that this action needs to be taken, if you can, by everybody. We tried one of those about a week or two ago when Fox was, I know this is going to sound, strange, but when Fox was saying something really positive about Putin invading, we decided just to see if we sent out a union alert saying call the Fox switchboard and get them to stop. We shut down Fox's switchboard and they went to their second switchboard and that shut down too. Now that was a rudimentary thing. I mean, we were just sort of flexing our, just seeing whether when we did a union alert, was there a reaction? It was massive. And it was when we were at 40,000. So that's what I'm saying. If you start to picture what can happen when there's 1 million of us, 2 million of us.
So when I think about like skill sets and needs on the grounds, one of the questions that came in, I'm an artist. Is there a way that my skills can be applied to work? So Annette, Alex, is an artist something that you can use? Can you talk about some of the skill sets that would be helpful to your organization?
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring up an artist. A few of our board members are actually artists for our organizations. And art is a form of, speech. It's a form of making your voice heard. And so for me, it's really important to have artists and frankly, folks from all backgrounds involved in movements and involved in democracy, because we have seen artists take their art and turn it into national monument campaigns here in Nevada to protect our public lands, or turn it into art to help public education. So there's so many ways you can use your art to make your voice heard and to raise public awareness. So absolutely, we need folks of all backgrounds involved in these types of movements.
And then there's also a language piece, because as we're fighting misinformation and disinformation, we need to do that in multiple languages sometimes. Alex, Devin, in Florida, are you seeing a language need? I know, Annette, you spoke briefly about that as well.
Yeah, Maya, that's a great question. And thank you, Annette, for for really bringing up the various ways in which people can get involved. This is one of the reasons why I think what's happening here at the Union is just so great, because we're able to really take advantage of the diversity of thought, diversity of skill set that we have in America. Because we're not all good at everything. Like Democrats happen to suck at messaging, Republicans not so much. And so we bring these pieces together, and we make we can fit the picture, right? And so our volunteers are that way as well. I am not artistic. If you're an artist, please get involved. There's a space for everybody. And here in Florida, we need all hands on deck. What the union is doing is so important, because there's always energy. People want to know where to put it, but they want to do something meaningful with it. They want to do something efficient and effective with it. And so the union doing the work of connecting people across the country to organizations like Battleborn, like Backroads and Rural Voices and Me Vecino, that's incredibly important, to making sure that people are using their time wisely, and that their language skills, that their volunteer skills are being put to their best use. Our organization is growing the electorate by a couple thousand new registrations every single month. We stay in contact with our voters. We continue to educate them. And it's, the more people we register, the harder and the bigger that task is going to get. And we're going to need help. We're going to need all of your help.
Absolutely.
Maya, can I say something that I
yes.
I think I forgot to say? My one hesitation in agreeing to do what I am doing for the union was I didn't want to take away from other organizations' volunteer pool. And I was assured that we're not. What we are doing is we're a pipeline for other organizations. You need extra boots on the ground, right? And so we're supplementing those organizations who have, a fabulous volunteer base. We just kind of fill in the cracks where they're needed. So we're not taking anything from anybody. We're giving.
Truly, it's about leveraging technology and leveraging all of our different organizations to drive further volunteer work, so that we can get more people involved and get the word out that it's going to take all of us. Joe,
here's where that came from. The Lincoln Project has, if you look on Twitter, over 2 million people follow the Lincoln Project on Twitter. That's more than the RNC or the DNC that follow either one of those. A lot of those people are and we're really grateful, spread the videos and push information out, and get others to follow us. But then the question was, and by the way, so 314 Action Pack, which is a pack that a group that tries to get recruit and get more science to run across the country because of COVID, climate change, and feel more science-based, and the denial of science needs to be fought and put into office. They have several 100,000 people. They've joined the union, and so when you think of all that, those millions of people with 314 or Lincoln Project, there are a lot of people who are following us that want to do something more, and they've given to money, et cetera, but they want to do something in their community. And these community groups don't know they exist. They don't know the community group exists. I mean, they've joined 314 Action, or they've joined followed the Lincoln Project. So what we thought was, look, if we've got a few million people out there, let's start with that. Let's get other groups to join. and tell their folks to join the union too. And now you've got all those people that were just, have been very active following on Twitter, and reacting to content and spreading it. But now there's something we can actually add them locally and say, hey, did you know Fair Fight Georgia exists, for instance, in Georgia, and they're looking for, they need help this Saturday. We can, so as was said, we're additive, and it's a way to attract all those people that have been following us, following these groups, other groups, get the groups to join, get their people to join the union, so that when we need to take action, or there's a group that needs help at a specific and important time, they've got an ability to add their energy and time into an effort that's going to win in November of 22 and 24. And the most important part about that is that's what we need to do to protect our democracy. We cannot let the autocratic forces out there, the authoritarian forces, win either of those, a majority of either the House or the Senate, or God forbid, the presidency in 2020.
Yeah, let's not go there. We're not going to go there.
Yeah.
One of the questions which I love is about age requirements. Somebody wanted to know, am I too old? Am I too young to join? And what are your thoughts on that?
No, not at all. In fact, one of the things in the Dean campaign, we started Generation Dean, which was really powerful. There was no age. I mean, there were a few 65-year-olds who joined Generation Dean because they still felt like that they had, maybe Chris Gibbs, but to give those young people that power, to empower them to run their own Generation Dean part of the campaign was really important. I think one of the things I've been thinking about is whether we need to join a youth, launch a youth corps and let them take it, let them have it and run with it, because I think it would be so empowering and so important given what's happening. They're going to be paying the price for a lot of the bad policies that are being put in place in states like Florida and Texas and so many other places around the country, if not nationally.
And I like the way they move at light speed. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Ted.
I just want to say something. I think it's easy to forget that the former president, tried to have an event, and the TikTok generation destroyed that event. So I think it's really, really important. I know on my race, I ran a congressional race. I had volunteers that were teenagers that were teaching older volunteers how to knock on doors, how to use Van, how to figure out the technology. And I'm passionate about making sure that we include younger people. I'm in my 50s, so I don't qualify anymore. So, but we have to make sure that when a young person comes to the table, that they're welcome, that they have an equal voice.
Yes.
And that we're not looking at them saying, oh, I've done this before. No. They are bringing the new skills, the new passion, the new ideas, and we want to make sure that they're equal voices and that we give them jobs. And that, quite frankly, I had young people, teenagers, college students who were cutting turf and telling all of us oldies where to go, what to do, and how to do it. And we just said, okay, let's do it. And I think it's a lot of shifts there, because honestly, a lot of these county parties are older. And they've been there for a long time, and they're not welcoming.
Speak on it.
They're not welcoming. And what we do is, I see this time and again, complaining, well, there aren't any young people. But when young people show up, then what happens is we say, well, we've been doing it this way. No. Be quiet, listen, and let those young people start to lead.
Amen.
Well, and I love the idea of it being cross-generational, intergenerational. It's a family affair. This is something where the student can work with their grandparents, and that's how we really come together as a country, is listening to each other. It starts at the family level, and so being able to volunteer together and get active and engaged. So that age requirement question, I think, goes both for younger generation and older generation, saying, "Hey, is my voice going to be heard?"
So it sounds like our homework is to find some youth organizations and get them on.
Yeah, I agree.
All y'all need to follow Me Vecino on TikTok, because we have a TikTok and our team posts all the time. So that's number one. But I think just to add to both Melissa's point and your point, Tedra, is that I come from the fundraising side of politics. I was the finance director for the Florida Democratic Party last cycle and raised $20 million and was just absolutely devastated by the results of how that money was spent ineffectively, to be completely honest. And one of my big concerns are for states like Florida, for states like Texas and Nevada that are all represented on this call, is that we have investors walking away, right? Because they don't see the value of long-term organizing. And so when we're in that position, all of these organizations on this call, right, we need to fill those holes. And how we do that is with energized volunteers of all ages who can help us fill gaps that we don't have the money to fill professionally. And so everybody watching, whatever issue matters to you, right, that issue isn't going to matter if we don't have a democracy. So sign up, get involved, and hopefully we can plug you into a place where you feel valued, because you are. And this, again, like I said in the beginning, this is our country, and it needs the people who get elected, the people who make important decisions for our communities and for our families. They need to look like us. They need to understand us. They need to be from the places where we are from. And that isn't going to happen if we don't demand that. That isn't going to happen if we don't get involved and we stay on the sidelines. And so with that, Maya, I'll turn it back to you. I
was going to say that is a perfect place to wrap this part of the conversation, because I think that is exactly what everyone needed to hear. It is time to make our voices heard loud and clear with this energy. Thank you so much to all of you, seriously, for bringing so much energy to this and sharing in detail what your organizations are doing on the ground. That's what I believe people do need to hear. And I think we're going to get a lot of people interested and also sharing with friends and family about, ways that they can get involved. So can't wait to continue these conversations with y'all, because I have a feeling we're going to be doing more of this. I hope that we do, because I need it. It's lifting me up. So thank you so much. And we will all be in touch with you soon.
Thank you.
For 240 years, our union endured. But it's under challenge like never before.
We're engaged anew in a struggle between democracy and autocracy.
Can we save democracy? Overcome authoritarian movements at home and abroad? Come together to ensure the government of the people, by the people, for the people endures? We say we can.
Democracy will and must prevail.
Play your part by joining the union. The union gives Americans the tools to mobilize friends and neighbors, to amplify our voices, organize for democracy, and defeat Trumpists and authoritarians from the White House to the City Council. It matches the skills of volunteers and activists with campaigns and causes, work that must be done to protect democracy. Lincoln believed it was the sacred duty of every president to preserve the Union at all costs. We believe it's the sacred duty of every American.
Now it's up to all of us, to we the people.
Because together we will win. America will endure. The Union, all in.